On my right is Alex Gaylon, who did this documentary, whose name is Lucky Boy, and not Caramelize. We'll understand.
Caramelize is the production company.
Gotcha. To his right is Gloria Hockman, who's Director of Communication for the National Adoption Center, and on the far right is Maxine Chalker. She's founder and president of Adoptions from the Heart. So, Alex, let me start with you. First of all, congratulations. You won a lot of awards for this.
Yeah, I just won an award online, and thanks for letting me be here tonight.
Yeah, it was a great piece. When did you learn you were adopted?
I've known my whole life that I've been adopted. I never really understood that until my mom said that when I was in her arms as a baby, even then she always would say there was a mother and she was too young to take care of her son, and that's why we have you. So my whole life I've known, and I really appreciate that, it was never a secret.
I've got a question that's almost impossible to answer, and there might not be one. What's it like to be adopted?
Personally, and I've heard, numerous things from all different kids or adults that have been adopted, but personally, I've always felt very special being adopted because I know that my parents really wanted a child, and I know that they got me, and I know that because they've wanted a child so much, I was really special to them, and they're really special to me.
So that worked out pretty well.
Worked out great.
Your parents are here.
Yep.
Where's Mom?
Mom's in the pink, Dad's in the tie.
Could you just tell us why you decided to tell Alex the way you did?
I just feel that both of us are of the belief that honesty is the best policy. And I was very proud of the fact that we were able to adopt a child. We had two daughters from my husband's first marriage, and who I just adored, and I wanted a child badly, as did Steve. And I was so proud of the fact that we were able to do this that I always wanted him to know the truth, because it's a wonderful thing. Anyone, to me, can give birth to a child, but not anyone can adopt a child.
Right. Did you wonder about your biological mother?
I've always wondered about my biological mother. Just that kind of unknown. Is there this woman out there that I came out of that's, thinking of me? Does she care? What's she like? Does she look like me? Does she want to meet me at all? It's just that unknown.
It was just curiosity. Were there any, I gotta be a psychologist, I apologize. Were there any emotions attached to it? Was there hurt or anger or?
She was, I think, 15 when she gave birth to me. So, and I always knew that. So there was really, I understood why I had to be adopted. She couldn't really take great care of me. She felt, so she put me up for adoption. So I always felt, appreciative that she did that, because I really have such a loving family. The fact that, I didn't know what she was like at all. So who knows what my life could have been. All I know is that my life is really great now. So I'm glad she gave me that opportunity.
When I talked about parental anxiety, I was thinking of that. And I was also thinking of another dimension of parental anxiety. And Alex, I want to turn to you and ask this. The anxiety that goes with, what if the biological mom, what if he likes her better than me? What if they just miss each other and there's a connection there? So I'm guessing that you discussed this with your parents about exploring your biological.
Yeah, actually, I knew that I always wanted to look for my biological mom, so I brought out my dad and my mom to University of Wisconsin, where I was in school, and I did this documentary for a documentary class, and then I talked to them, and they brought a lot of information, and they seemed really calm and cool, and, understood that I wanted to know at the very least so I could get some medical information.
Right. Let me try a what-if question on you.
Sure.
What if they weren't comfortable?
I still would have done it. I I was really, actually growing up, I wasn't really sure that they were so comfortable. I would bring it up sometimes, and it was always kind of, well, when you're older, because you have to be 18, I think, to legally search. So I really wasn't so sure. I was so happy that they were comfortable, but even if they weren't, I would have done it, and I would have, like they said, been completely honest about it. I wouldn't have really hid the fact. Maybe I would have hid the fact that I was searching, but once I found some information, I would have been open with them.
The fact that they had anxiety earlier on, kind of telling you to postpone it, despite the fact that they might have denied their anxiety. Did that make you more uncomfortable when you decided to pursue this?
Maybe it made
were
me
you
a little
worried
bit.
about them?
Maybe I'm definitely worried about them, but it maybe pushed me to do it a little bit more.
We'll leave that there. Because I see the whole family here is blushing, so that's for another panel discussion. When you got started, what was it like? I mean, you were going into a neighborhood you've never been in before. What?
Totally scared, and I really expected the worst.
Tell me.
And that's kind of the way I go about trying to do anything, is to expect the worst. And if
What
anything,
was the worst in your head?
the worst, I guess, in my head was I would either meet this woman, she wouldn't want to have anything to do with me, but I'd be able to get some sort of information and then leave it at that. Or maybe, actually in the documentary, I talked to another adoptee, and he found his birth mother, and they had a little bit of a relationship, and then it kind of got cut off. So a kind of awkwardness, maybe, that they feel like they're my real parent, and they want to, be a parent rather than, just be my birth parent who gave birth to me and be a friend. They would want to have some more control over me that, is not needed. I'm 22 years old, and I have my parents.
Did you feel alone in this process?
I didn't feel alone really at all. I mean, it was great that I had both my parents, and when, not everyone talks about adoption, but when you bring it up, everyone seems to know someone that's adopted, or they're adopted themselves.
How did you start?
I started...
I assume Google has to be in the process
Google's
somewhere.
a big one. I started making sure that my parents were okay with this, and I had that birth tag, which I don't think I was supposed to have. I don't think I was that wasn't supposed to be on my wrist when I came home to my parents, but I had that, so I knew her name, and my mom never even thought that was her real name, but I just gave it a shot. I typed it in Google. I paid $10 in the people search, and these 5 numbers came up. And then it took me a couple months to kind of get the courage to actually make these calls.
You sat with those numbers.
I had them for a
couple
little
of
while,
months.
yeah.
What was that like?
Well, I was in the middle of the documentary, so I basically cut this whole documentary, talking with my parents and, just doing everything up to the point of making the phone call, not knowing how this documentary is going to end up. I went into it expecting not anything to happen, but I'd at least have a fine student documentary. I'd, get a grade, whatever. But
When did you decide, and why then?
because I had to finish this documentary.